With the Dragon Ball Legends mobile game coming out, I wanted to go back and discuss the other Dragon Ball game with the very similar name from the PlayStation era. Let's go back and look at awesome Dragon Ball video game memories going back to PS1 and Sega Saturn if you had one. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Z Legends, which actually, the actual name of this game is Dragon Boru Zetto Adainaru Dragon Boru Densetsu, which means the greatest Dragon Ball legend. But most of us here in the West called it Dragon Ball Z Legends. A lot of folks did not play this game when it first came out. But if you were a 90s kid and you had your modded PS1 with your spring in the back and you went to your local Asian store, you may have had a copy of this game. And this was a lot of folks' like first really truly great Dragon Ball game. I know it was for me. So I want to go back and discuss the game, talk about memories, talk about if the game holds up. Please welcome my guest. He's been here before when we talked about the GT Final Bout game, and he's also been on Icons. He has been in our fandom for literally 20 years, and he's been around back then and still talks about video games now. The host of Awesome Video Game Memories. Please welcome Ryan. Should I call you Ryan or just Castor Troy, just to go old school?
Well, you can call me either. I'll respond to either name. But hey, how's it going, Geekdom?
I'm good, man. I'm so happy to have you here. You know, Ryan has been producing videos of covering games, God, for years over on Battle Geek Plus. And most recently, he covered the CDI Legend of Zelda games, which I really enjoyed. I really like those videos.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because it's like, brother, you got to be hardcore to play that. But let's talk about Dragon Ball Z Legends. So let's take the people back to the mid-90s. You know, we would get these gaming magazines, and you'd see ads for these games that we would never get to play. See, nowadays with the internet, you can buy whatever the hell you want. And it gets shipped to you, you play it, boom. Back then, it was magazine orders, and I feel like this game... Like, there was three major PS1 games back then. There was Dragon Ball GT Final Bout or Dragon Ball Final Bout, Legends, and Ultimate Battle 22. And I'm probably going to come back and cover Ultimate Battle 22 later on. But I don't know about you, but just seeing pictures of this game, I was dying to play it. And I remember back then the dub was only up to the Vegeta Saga.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at this cover and I'm like, who's that pink guy? Like, wait a minute, is this later on? Is this a different enemy? Like, for people who weren't around back then, we didn't know, because the internet was very young. You could look up stuff, but you didn't know anything unless you really dug deep. If you went to, like, you know, for example, Ginga Giri Giri, which is your website,
right.
or if you went to, like, Daimao, Steve Simmons, you know, you could learn about this. But how did you first... What's your earliest memory of Dragon Ball Z Legends?
All right, so my earliest memory of Dragon Ball Z Legends was I actually didn't see it in any magazines. I think back in 1998 when I was a senior in high school, like my friend, I went to my friend's house and he had a whole bunch of bootleg PlayStation games he got from China for like $1 each. And so he let me borrow all three of the Dragon Ball games on the PlayStation, you know, Ultimate Battle 22, Legends, and Final Bout. And I remember, I tried to force myself to like Ultimate Battle 22 and Dragon Ball Final Bout, but my friend warned me like, these games aren't very fun. So I tried Legends out and back in the day, you know, since like the double only went up to the Frieza Saga, and actually Dragon Ball Z Legends was like the first game, you know, that you can play at the time, and you can actually kind of understand it because it starts off. It begins with the fight. It begins with the Saiyan fight, and you're like, oh yeah, I saw this on Cartoon Network. Oh my god,
right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, there's more to the story.
Oh yeah, yeah, like it was cool. Like after you beat the Ginyu Force, because you know that's kind of where the dub ended at the time. Like we kind of got to see the fight with Frieza in that game. I was like,
spoiled it.
Oh yeah, so this is what happens after the Ginyu stuff.
Well, it's like how nowadays, if you play Xenoverse and you're only watching it dubbed, you got to see the Goku Black story before it's not even done yet as this recording's happening. So
yeah.
It's just kind of funny how we're kind of repeating history again. But the funny thing about Legends is, I forget if it was this game or Hyperdimension, because Hyperdimension came out right around the same time. I think it was the same year.
Yeah.
Was this the first Dragon Ball game that actually covered all of Dragon Ball Z? I'm talking about from the Saiyan to the Buu Saga, because what people have to understand is there were Dragon Ball games that came out that didn't cover the entire series because the series is still running. So if you played any of the Famicom or Super Famicom Dragon Ball games, you only got like the Frieza arc.
Oh yeah,
or
exactly.
The Cell arc. Yeah, exactly. Like Super Butoden, you only went to Bojack. But was this the first one, or was it? It was one. It was either this one or Hyperdimension.
Yeah, I think this was the first game that covered the entire series from beginning to end. Because I think Hyperdimension only covered. I think it only covered everything like up to Frieza, up to Buu.
Yeah, you're right. What I meant to say was more so like after Z had already kind of wrapped up, or was gonna wrap up, because this came out in May of '96. If I remember correctly, Z ended in February of '96.
Yeah.
It was only like 3 months. Yeah, it wasn't that long. Now let's talk about the actual game. So we can agree, this is like the best PS1 Dragon Ball Z game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you think? Okay, before I ask you if it holds up, that'll be like near the end. This is a very weird game. It's not your traditional fighting game. It does not play like Xenoverse. Well, actually, it plays a little bit like Xenoverse.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, right. It doesn't play like Fighters. It's like what you're doing with this game is you're going through the story of the manga, which I love.
Yeah.
So there's no Garlic Jr., no Paikuhan, but like you're playing the game, and essentially they're basically they're like 3-on-3, up to 3-on-3 battles, but I'm going to need you to fill in here because I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It's a fighting game, but it's also a simulator, but it has these kind of interesting sort of RPG elements, not when it comes to level grinding, but one thing I loved about this game, I adored it, is if you wanted to properly play this game, you had to reenact the manga. So,
yeah.
Right? There's a part where you fight Frieza. You have to put Krillin in the fight and have him lose. You have to purposely lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you can trigger Goku to transform. Otherwise, the transformation won't even happen. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and it actually takes forever to kill Krillin, too. Like, you just have to let the game... you just have to
beat him up.
Yeah. Just let him be beat up for 15 minutes.
So describe the gameplay to the people, because I'm having a hard time doing it because it's kind of a weird game, but it's strangely fun. Like, this was kind of an addicting game.
Okay, the best way I could explain this game, well, it's kind of a fighting game, but I'm gonna say, well. And how can I expand on saying a Dragon Ball Z simulator? It's completely 2D, but there's 3D backgrounds. But
it's kind of ahead of its time.
It's ahead of its time. Yeah, it's still. I mean, yeah, even 20 years later, it's still hard to explain what kind of game this is to this day. Actually,
Right.
I mean, I know it was based off. The PC Engine game, The Legend of Son Goku, which is kind of it's very similar to Dragon Ball Z Legends, where you have to pull away from your opponent, then you have to move close to your opponent to attack him. But then they actually kind of simplified it in Legends. But in order to actually do damage to your opponent, you had to build up a power meter at the bottom. And in order to build,
it was like a tug of war thing.
Yeah, it was a tug of war thing. You had to, and once you get the power balance bar in your favor, then you get to see one of the
They were like the meteor attacks.
The meteor attacks.
The Genki Dama, the Big Bang attack, whatever character you have. And what was interesting is, you're playing the game, you got punches, kicks, and ki blast. Now, if you use your ki blast too much, you're going to run out of energy, and then they beat you up.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard part of the game.
Right? But what I love was, the combos, because you can kick your opponent up into the
sky.
They were so simple. Okay, when I say combos, for those of you who have not played this game, this is not like Dragon Ball FighterZ at all. It's 2 buttons, but you chain kicks, boom, 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 up, down, left, right. And then, like you said, you get the meteor attack, and then Goku will do a move.
Yeah.
Or whoever the main character is. And that will take away life and hopefully win you the but it's really simple, I would say.
Yeah.
but because we didn't speak Japanese, did you know when you first played the game that you had to like do stuff like sacrifice Krillin and things like that?
I had no idea the first time I played it, and then but once I went to GameFAQs and then I learned, oh wait, I have to reenact the manga. Okay, I could do this, and it actually took me till like 2003 to get the best ending because I first played the game in 1998, and I would play it on and off here and there, but then I think it was in like 2003 when I actually decided to get serious because I wanted to see the best ending, and I got it.
That was a while. Yeah, that was a while later.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because the way the game kind of works is, first of all, we'll talk about the graphics here in a minute, but like, you've got up to 3 characters on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So you'll start with like Vegeta and Nappa, and then you'll have Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, I think you're supposed to sacrifice Piccolo, just like in the manga. He has to die. Then Goku will appear. And if you don't do that, if you just go into the game and have Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin beat Vegeta and Nappa, which you can do because the game will let you do it.
Oh yeah,
you're not going to get the right ending. You actually have to purposely lose Piccolo, and then Goku will appear. And I believe, and I could be wrong on this, if you don't do it right, you won't even get Goku, if I remember right.
Actually, I actually
did. Or
did.
you do get him, but he's. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I actually did replay it last year for my Awesome Video Game Memories episode when I was recording the footage. Yeah, you can actually choose Goku from the beginning.
You can, okay,
yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking about the Frieza saga probably. You can't get Super Saiyan unless Krillin dies. You will be fighting Frieza with Goku in his base form forever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and also if you want to get the best ending, like pretty much after every battle, you get a score out of like 100, and like if you get like if you get like perfect 100s for each 8 of the battles, that will get you the best ending. But when I first started playing it, I just played it normally, and then I would probably get like a score of like I would only get like a 26 or maybe even a 53 at most.
Yeah, and you would be like, okay, what did I do wrong? You're sitting there and you're like, I kicked the computer's ass. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And then when you find out, no, you're supposed to actually purposely lose here. So were there any favorite characters? Because there's also like a versus mode where you can just kind of play random battles. I used to love playing as Kid Buu, probably because like I hadn't seen the Kid Buu episodes, and he was the final boss, just like in Z. I love playing as Kid Buu. Were there any favorite characters that you remember back then playing as? I always thought Nappa was too slow. I don't know about you.
For some reason, I liked base Goku because he used the Kaioken, and I remember...
Right?
Yeah, like, for some reason, because, back...
Calamus love, bro.
Yeah. Back when I was playing this... back when we were playing this game back in, like, 98, 99, the dub was only on the Planet Namek. Yeah, it only went as far as Planet Namek, so like the Kaioken was, and I did like the aura effect of it too. Like that polygon, that red polygon aura of the Kaioken, and it actually looked pretty cool in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I was gonna ask you, graphically, okay. Obviously, we're talking about PS1.
Yeah,
I think the game does still hold up. I mean, I feel like there are mobile games now that look comparably like this. Not Dragon Ball ones, but just mobile games overall. I think the graphics hold up, and I think that one thing about the game is that, at least when I played it, there was no like lag issues or anything.
Oh no, not at all.
And not to mention, there's also the legitimate voice actors. Horikawa's in the game, Nozawa's in the game. So when your character comes into the screen, you hear like the character say something. And that's the one thing I was going to say too, is that you've got the 3-on-3 battles. You can also swap people in and out. So you could have like you said, Goku, Piccolo, Krillin, Gohan. Which 3 do you want to go in there? And
exactly.
All kinds of different combinations. And you had so many different versions of Goku and Gohan. You had like Gohan at the beginning, right? Like, but every game had that. So do you think, first of all, the sound in this game I think is fantastic.
Oh, the music is amazing. Well, yeah, even though it's composed by Kenji Yamamoto, who probably plagiarized everything, I still play this. He's awesome. I still play the soundtrack in my car. It's that good.
No, and Yamamoto was, he plagiarized, but he was awesome, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but he was great.
Yeah, when it came to the video games, he was great.
I agree. Do you think? Here's the thing. So this game does not have very high reviews now. I had so much fun playing it, but here's kind of the question for you: like, do you think the game holds up now, or is it just kids nowadays wouldn't like it? And also, do you think that the reason why we liked it back then is because it gave us a sneak peek into the future of Dragon Ball Z? Like, do you think it was more like that curiosity of when does this fight happen? Who is Perfect Cell? Like all these things back then that we didn't really know too much about? Or do you think the game just doesn't hold up at all? I mean, I heard the Saturn version is better, but I never got to play it.
Oh yeah, I have the Saturn version.
You have everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's one thing about the Saturn version. I think the Saturn version definitely has like way better graphics, but the gameplay's a lot harder because your opponents are way, way tougher in the Saturn version. Like, what's cool about the Saturn version is like you can actually knock your opponents, and they can actually knock you into like into trees and rocks, kind of like in the series. So there's yeah. I would say the Saturn version has like the more polished graphics and gameplay, but it's harder to beat. But like the PlayStation version is like definitely better for casual people. And to say if they hold up today, well, actually, to answer your first question, it actually wasn't really about it wasn't. Well, like to me, it was more of the really awesome gameplay because I had to play the two crappy games first, like Ultimate Battle 22 and Final Bout, and then like having Legends to compare it to, like Legends blew them both away, and so to me it was more about the gameplay rather than knowing what happens next in the series because like by that time I was reading every website out there, and so I kind of knew what was happening, but actually seeing it in action was different, and yeah, it was definitely more of the gameplay. That made it memorable to me, and the music, obviously.
But I feel like nowadays people have seen Dragon Ball Z a million times.
Yeah,
they know the outcome. I think that they would be better equipped to play the game. But I also feel like this is one of those games where, like back then, I don't know about you, but I grew up poor. And
right.
We couldn't just go online and download a billion gazillion games, and there was no Steam. And I feel like nowadays I could totally see somebody playing this game like for an afternoon. Like, okay, let's beat Legends. We're gonna go through the Vegeta Saga, Frieza Saga, Cell Saga, Buu Saga. Which again, on the cover of the game, it's got the 4 arcs and Goku in the middle, which I freaking love.
Oh yeah,
I love that art.
Oh yeah, me
box
too.
Art for all these games is cool, but like nowadays you could probably spend like what, maybe an hour and a half just beating the game, and then you're kind of done with it. Like I feel like the gameplay's fun, but by the time you're done with it, you don't really want to go back.
Well, I have to admit, it actually doesn't have a lot of longevity. I think the only replay value is just trying to get the best ending.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Because you can go in there and do 3-on-3 battles all day. You can do like Vegito, perfect, like Gohan from the Cell Saga and Kid Buu, and have this awesomely OP team. But like, it doesn't even matter because all the characters kind of play the same. There are very subtle differences to them. So it really is like Xenoverse in some ways. Not everybody plays the same as Xenoverse, but it's like, imagine like a little bit of Xenoverse, a little bit of Fighters, a little bit of Budokai Tenkaichi. I feel like that's what this is. Like, with everybody being, But I do like how the story mode's like in episodes, and it's pretty much every major Dragon Ball Z fight. I mean, there's no movies and no filler, but all the big manga fights are here.
Yeah. Well, it's
almost.
Well, it's just missing Raditz. It's also missing Zarbon and Dodoria, but like the big fights are there. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Ginyu forces in this.
Yeah.
Game. Stuff like that, like which you wouldn't expect. But you're right. Like small stuff is missing. But let us know in the comments. Do you have memories of Dragon Ball Z Legends? Did you play it when you were a kid? Do you remember like pirating the game back then because everybody was doing that too? Do you remember importing it, or did you play it later on? And if you haven't played it, try it if you can get a copy of it, and let us know what you think of it. I still have this is just a nostalgia trip for me. Like I have fond memories of this game. There are better Dragon Ball games, but as far as the original PS1s, this was like the best Dragon Ball game until probably Budokai 2.
Yeah,
I like this one more than Budokai 1. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Also, check out Awesome Video Game Memories, which is, well, Battle Geek Plus on YouTube. But later on this fall, you may be moving to Amazon Prime, correct?
Oh yeah, correct. I'm going to be moving Awesome Video Game Memories to Amazon Prime. All the episodes will be on there. I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of extra stuff, and I'm also going to be having reviews there, just only exclusive to Amazon Prime. Maybe a review about a certain game, fighting game with the Z at the end, which
that could be a million games, bro.
Yeah, which I'm working on.
Well, yeah, you've been planning this for a while, and are you gonna tell the people about your book, or are we gonna keep that a secret for now?
I'm gonna keep it a secret for now, but I will definitely tell you once this recording is over.
Oh, I know a little bit of it. I don't have details, but
okay.
Yeah, Ryan. There's going to be a book coming out, and if you're a Dragon Ball fan or if you're a fan of video games, I think you're going to want to check that out.
Right.
There's going to be a lot. But that's not for a while because you got to write this thing.
Yeah, it's not going to be for a while.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool that you're writing a book, dude. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And also, if you actually want to buy Legends for either the PlayStation or the Saturn, it's really cheap on eBay. You can get like a complete version for $10, with everything in it.
Yeah, no, you can. The manual and everything, and I love having that stuff. I bought it at a flea market for like $11.
Oh,
so I
nice.
got ripped off by $1.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, $1, but I would say it's still worth it though.
It was. Thank you for being here, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Let us know in the comments what you think, and we'll talk to you down the road.